Welcome to Causing the Effect, a podcast focused on the exploration of your mind, body, and spirit.
Yo, Robert Contreras, how you doing, brother? What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Just another day here in paradise in hot Arizona.
Man, Rob's living the life over there. Just came back from San Diego. It was my favorite place now. Over in Gilbert, Arizona, right? What is it, like 115 degrees out there?
Yeah, it feels like it's 115 every day, even at night. So,
Yeah, there is pros and cons to living in the middle of the country, I guess. But today for everybody listening, we're gonna talk a little bit of fitness. I'd say a mix of fitness with mental health. But what I love about Robert's Instagram, not only is it real, but he's trying to kind of, and I'll use Robert's words here, and you could tell me where this kind of came from, Rob. Mental health progression through fitness. What does that mean to you, and what was the journey like?
so I started kind of like the fitness journey around 15 years old. I had one of my buddies actually get me into it. He's about 10 years older than me, but he took me to the gym one time. I think it was I can't remember what gym it was, but we ended up going in there, and I remember seeing this dude. I was like, dude, that dude's huge. And I went to the gym a couple times. I kind of started getting into it. And then in high school, I started, preparing myself because I was going into the military right after. Actually, when I graduated high school, went to basic training about 2 weeks after I graduated, and then got sent to Alaska, where I was stationed there. And living in Alaska, it was rough, and having like to live there and it be nighttime, 30 days out of the year. It's you actually get a vitamin deficiency, and it actually causes depression and stuff like that. So I actually started going to the gym. I was going to the gym every day, and that's kind of where like the mental health like started coming into play, and helping with my depression, because that was kind of like my escape, outside of the military. And then I got out of the military back in 2017. I was married. I came back here. Ended up getting divorced about a year after I came back here. And that right there was kind of like that was when I 100% was in the gym for my mental health. Like it was just kind of that escape. Um, and like all those things, come into play. And a lot of people don't realize that, depression happens and a lot of people don't have that escape. There's a lot of people who turn to drugs. There's a lot of people who turn to alcohol, other sources of ways to relieve that depression. And, thankfully I found, fitness and health and, getting like diving deep into that stuff. And it really, really, really like helped out.
Nice, dude. There's so much I'm going to pick apart that whole thing, what you said there. Also, just so
Okay.
we know, that's kind of what made me start the podcast and everything. I went through a divorce. I made a little longer than you. I made 18 months, and we'll talk about that. But now let's get back to this piece of you went to the Army or the Navy or
Yeah, the Army. I
the
was in
Army.
the Army.
So you were 18 years old when you went?
Yep, I was 18 years old.
Okay, so you're 18. If you gave me a gun at 18 years old, I would have murdered a person. But like, what is it? What you expected, and what was that decision like? And then on top of it, did you even anticipate getting sent to Alaska?
So at 18 years old, the whole reason why I wanted to join, I actually technically enlisted when I was 17 years old. I had to get permission from both my parents.
Wow.
But I just wanted to serve my country. I just wanted to, do good. And, they were also paying for school as well. I didn't necessarily know exactly what I wanted to do in life. I have a couple of uncles that were in the military. I have an uncle that was in the Air Force, uncle that served in Vietnam. So we kind of have like a family history of being in the military. But I mean, honestly, it wasn't what I expected. The military is kind of a hit and miss. You're basically gambling with your life. And this isn't everywhere in life. There's bad leadership, at corporate settings, and pretty much anywhere in life. So I'm not gonna really like fault that, because anywhere you go, there's always going to be bad leadership. But if I were to go back and redo it, I can confidently say that I would not. I don't regret my decision. Being 18 years old, going into the military, it taught me a lot of life skills, and I feel like I was kind of, put in a more like I would say it accelerated being an adult because I
Mm.
actually had to live on my own. I was married by the age of 19. I was in my own apartment by the age of 19. I was paying my own bills, all that kind of stuff. So I pretty much moved out of my house when I was 18 years old, and been on my own ever since. So if I were to go back and redo it, I would not.
You would not do it, but you don't regret it. Okay, I like that answer. Now, from it, what did you expect going into the Army? Because when we say this, and I'm sure people listen, you think Jocko Willink, you think discipline, you think being like a better version of yourself. Is that kind of what it was? Like, what did you expect going into it? And then what are the things you didn't expect?
So I actually think that in terms of discipline, the military definitely helped with that. But I'm also the kind of person that I've kind of noticed over the years where I don't really like um, people working over me.
Mm.
And that's kind of like the whole reason why I wanted to start my whole, my business and, social media and that kind of thing, because I want to be my own boss. I want to be able to create my own schedule and all that kind of thing. And I feel like the military really helped kind of like define those characteristics. But I mean, in terms of it, I expected them to basically instill discipline into me, and there's a lot of people who also go into the military who don't take discipline very well, and even after the military, they don't want to do anything other than what the very very bare means of like the minimum stuff that you have to do. So in terms of discipline, I knew I was going to get that discipline instilled in me, and I feel like that really contributed to where I'm at now. But I mean, I feel like also my childhood and stuff like that has kind of put me in the position that I'm in now as well.
Gotcha. And I think there's a lot of young men that just it's this time of being an entrepreneur that like even though I have a boss, my president, I love him. I'm not a person who takes direction. Well, I'm better off doing it myself, and I feel that way now. How was that? Let's say that confidence of going out there and being on your own and saying I could not only could I do things by myself, but I'm gonna make money by myself. What did that look like for you? And how much fear was involved in that decision? Because that's a lot of emails I get from these young guys. Like, listen, I have a corporate job, work 9 to 5. I'm sure you have friends like this, and it's like I want to make this move, but the fear kind of subsides you in a way.
Oh man, yeah. If there's if you were to ask any entrepreneur out in on this planet, what were the emotions that were going through their minds when making that jump? I 100% guarantee every single person was scared at some point to make that jump, because our human nature is to take the path that's easiest. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like you want to be comfortable. You don't want to put yourself in uncomfortable positions, and that's the main reason why people stay at where they are, nowadays, is because they don't want to feel that source of not being confident in their decisions that they're making, and they want to be comfortable their entire lives. And you're always going to have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position to grow. And that's kind of what I link to fitness as well, is you can go into the gym and you can do the exercises that you know how to do, and you can do them over and over and over and over again, and it's comfortable because you know how to do them, and your muscles have kind of adapted to that. And that's kind of how I link that, because you're gonna eventually adapt to that, to being comfortable to those exercises. And the same thing in life. If you're going through the motions and you're doing the exact same thing, you're going to adapt to that and you're going to become comfortable. So the only thing to improve and progress through life and in the gym is if you're making yourself uncomfortable. And I think that's the biggest thing that people struggle with, is getting out of their comfort zone. Every person who's ever gone into the gym, or whoever has made that jump to entrepreneurialism, it's you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. You just have to full send it.
I love that, and that's a perfect segue into the fitness piece. Let's talk about this now. What I always like to start the fitness peeps with this question: what did fitness mean to you when you started this journey in your teens? Let's say, probably a little vanity in there. And what does it mean to you now?
Back when I was, a teen, I always, looked at the people who were big and, who looked great. And I was like, dude, I want to look like that. And that's pretty much how, I looked at fitness over the next, 2 or 3 years. And then, once I progressed into the military, and then, started actually getting into the adult life is stressful. Like
Right.
if there's any kids that listen to this podcast or anything at all, like if you're kind of making your way into adulthood and you're about to graduate high school, going to college, get, your big boy job, and, it's stressful. Like, school does not teach you any of that stuff. And, hopefully your parents do, but if your parents don't and you don't have those resources, then, it could be very stressful. And, I feel like fitness now is my escape. I went on this vacation for the last 4 days, and I was like, I want to go and, get away and kind of disconnect a little bit. But, like, honestly, when I was there, the only thing I could think about is the gym, is going and working out. And I'm just like, that it's kind of become a daily part of my life, that when I don't do it, it's something like brushing your teeth or eating. Like, it's just become a daily, like, I need to do it to, to cope. And a lot of people can look at that in a positive way or a negative way. There could definitely be a lot worse things that I could, be using for that getaway, or, that type of thing. And like, going to the gym isn't necessarily like 100%. Oh, I'm going to the gym because, like, I'm sad or I'm going through depression or anything like that. But there are some days where I have to get up at 10 o'clock at night, because I'm just laying in bed and I'm just like, dude, I got to go, work out. I got to go do something. So the gym is definitely used as like a resource for an escape. And I couldn't be more thankful for it, honestly.
Yeah, man. No, and I'm with you. For me, I call it my sanctuary. Like, it's a place. It's not like it's a religious place, but it's a place where you kind of clear your mind. You could be yourself, and you could just kind of get to it. And I would say my meditation, and I try to merge that mind and body. So I would say both are equally important. My meditation in the morning, along with hitting the gym hard. And it's funny you're bringing up this kind of uncomfortability, because like this year, usually I'll change my program up every 6 to 8 weeks, but it's been a tough year. It's a little bit, anxious, a lot of weird stuff going on. And I'm like, shit, I've been doing the same program for 3 months. It's like, because I like that comfortability. I like knowing the legs are going to hit Monday and Friday, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Now to what you're doing now, what kind of programs are you running? And, are you doing powerlifting? Is it weightlift? Like, what is your goal? And then, yeah, that's really it.
So kind of right now, I just started a diet about 2 weeks ago. I'm actually preparing for my first men's physique show. I'm very excited. I'm doing a men's physique show here in Mesa, Arizona on October 29th. And I'm very excited for it. A lot of people, they typically do these shows, they hire a, IFBB coach or something like that, which are pretty much like professional bodybuilders who compete in very high classes of bodybuilding. So people typically hire those types of people to help them do their first preps. But the cool thing about this is that I'm doing this entire prep all by myself. So I'm dieting down. I create my own meal plans. I create my own workout programs, all that kind of stuff. I'm doing all that 100% by myself. Just kind of like some background. I actually got my NASM certified personal trainer certification about 2 years ago. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. I've done tons and tons of self-research on, dieting and nutrition, macros, all that kind of stuff. So over the next few months, that's also what I'm doing on my YouTube channel. Is I'm actually, kind of recording this entire process of, dieting down to a super low body fat percentage, and also my first show as well. So I'm very excited about that.
And check that. I was checking out the YouTube. That's in the notes below, along with Robert's website. Now, for people who are not familiar, I've had a couple of, I think not IFBB champions, but I've had the Australian guys, the WBFF champions. So we're about 2 months out. So basically, it's going to be consistently miserable. You're going to be for the next 2 months. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, it's already setting in, honestly. I mean, being consistently, eating. I typically like to make it easy on myself, so I eat the same foods and stuff like that, and it also like makes it extremely cheap if you're eating the same foods. But there's some days where, at 9 o'clock at night, you're just like, I just want to eat a whole box of cereal.
Yeah. Now, I know you've been posting quite a bit of stuff about not giving up, and it seems like you have that relentless attitude. Like, how do you get through that? Because that's something I deal with. I'm good Monday through Friday. I'm money. But then Saturday, Sunday comes. It's like you get that cheat meal in. The cheat meal turns into a cheat day. Like, what is Robert saying to himself when he wants to eat that box of cereal at 9:30 p.m. and he has about 45 carbs in him? for the day?
So honestly, like I believe I have the ability to be able to tell myself mentally to stay on track. You're good to go. But honestly, doing this whole like Instagram thing and being on social media, all the people that constantly message me and comment on my videos and send me DMs, and they're all like, you inspire me. The videos that I saw has got me through that, or you know there's a couple videos that I posted where telling them to go to the gym, and they're like, I was about to lay in bed and not go to the gym, but I saw it, came across your video, and I got up and went to the gym. Like hearing those messages and stuff like that is just absolutely like it stimulates my brain to where I'm just like, you know what, 100% it's you guys, it's the people who are on Instagram that are kind of feeling this. But there are some days where I kind of have to make that mental, I have to have that mental talk with myself. I have to get in my own head, and I have to, because I typically I work out twice a day. So I usually work out before work, then I'll go into work, and then I'll do my cardio after work, and that's 6 days a week. So I'm going into work and I'm feeling tired by the end of my shift. But if I bring my clothes with me, you have to make these small adjustments, and they will really help out. Like for example, if I bring my clothes with me and I take my pre-workout at work, then I have to go to the gym at that point. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason not to. So you just have to make it a part of your daily schedule to where it's like, okay, I'm going to go to work, and right after work, I'm going straight to the gym. Like it's on the way home, so you might as well. And you just have to do it. It's discipline. And a lot of people, they tell me, motivation. Like I lack motivation. How do you stay so motivated? And I'm sure you've heard this stuff, all the time of people telling like, how do you stay so motivated and all that stuff. But it's not about motivation. It's about discipline. You're not. I'm not motivated 100% of the time. I know you're not motivated 100% of the time. There's not a single person I've met that is motivated 100% of the time. But the one thing that those people are that are successful, that get into entrepreneurial, that stuff, and get in the gym, and they're successful in the gym, it's not about motivation. It's about discipline. And if you lack discipline, then you're going to lack the results.
Well said. And I think there's something that people think motivation and discipline are the same thing. And it's maybe I think this is a thing on Instagram. Somebody posted like motivation is short lived. And I think there was a time when I was like listening to you type in the motivation videos and like you listen to that, and it's like getting the pre-workout shot in your vein, and that's going to help you get through for the short duration. But for me, finding that discipline is found. You need to have that overarching vision of where you want to be and how you want to impact the world on a grander scale. Not so much like you're going to change lives. I mean, I hope me and you are, but for me, it's just simply trying to reduce, for the podcast, let's say, it's trying to reduce people's suffering in a way that is easy to kind of digest. And even for the gym myself, it's like, it's just a very simple thing. Like I was, I don't know if you ever had a weight issue, but I was 270 pounds at one point. So now I went from 270 obsessive, went down to 160. I was like, okay, I'm too skinny. Now I'm playing this weightlifting game of like, okay, 185, and it's all good. For me, it's like, it just doesn't, the going backwards is just not happening. And I think that belief, that automatic thing of like, no, it's just not happening. Without being too connected. Cause I think I was a little too into the vanity in my mid 20s. And in particular, when you come right out of the divorce, it's like, oh, I'm going to try to look good. And now it's just like, I need both to optimize myself. So if I don't go to the gym, I'm not going to be the most optimized version of myself. If I don't meditate, I'm not going to be the most optimized version of myself. And that is for other people. I think people get this mixed up where, we're selfish. If you're, Rob's going to the gym twice, he's doing all the stuff. Yeah, you're doing it because it's going to make you more loving, more patient, less anxiety, have more space in your mind. All these things, like you have to be, for me at least, I think people have to be selfish in some ways. Like you could drink too much water and kill yourself. You could be too selfish, but there's a nice balance of where you have to kind of be selfish. That way I can give everything to everybody else throughout the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have, is kind of balancing, life and kind of incorporating. I mean, there's been times where I've been overwhelmed as well. And I'm sure you've also had times where you're overwhelmed, where, there were some people that might have, thought that they were ignoring you, or you were ignoring them, or, vice versa. And I've definitely had to play that game of trying to balance out life and trying to make sure that you're distributing your time to family, time to the gym, time to work. There's so many things that you have to balance, and kind of, and I still struggle with that even to this day. Like, I don't think there's a single person who doesn't struggle with the fact that, you have to balance all these different things, and there's just not enough time in the day to equally distribute it. And there's always things that come up, and all that kind of stuff. And I think everyone struggles with that. And I think it's important to kind of get out there that if you are struggling with kind of distributing family, friends, gym, work, like all that stuff, it's 100% normal. And there's people all the time that message me telling me how how do I balance all this out? And the truth is, I struggle with it just like everyone else, and that's kind of the motivation behind my page is. And there's a lot of people that also tell me that they don't see a lot of pages, like mine. They just started kind of seeing a little bit more pages pop up here and there. But my page is there because I want people to understand that even people who are big on social media, people who work out in the gym, like they're not 100% glam all the time like you see all these other social media influencers and stuff like that. It's just we all go through it. There's some people who choose to not show that, and people get into this mindset of, okay, this is how my life should be, and that's how social media is. But I want to create something that to tell people that it's not always like that. You know what I mean?
No, dude, I was telling Rob before we started, and I think everybody knows if you listen, like, I don't play games with those bullshit fitness enthusiasts. So I don't consider you a fitness enthusiast. I consider you like a people enthusiast. Because obviously, listen, you need to play an Instagram game. You need to post a certain amount of time. You have to post some pics, but like, it doesn't seem like it's about you. It seems like you're really here to kind of lift everybody else up. At least that's what I was reading. Cause like everything you post, like that, the motivation shit, I was like, that got me jacked up this morning. Like, never give up. I'm like, I can't kill it. Can't give up on Robert, motherfucker. So I think, yeah, you definitely are. Just keep doing it, man. Now, as far as the program, you opted to do weightlifting in the morning and then cardio in the afternoon. Have you tried cardio in the AM? And is that just a decision you made? Just it's easier for timing situations?
That's actually a great question. So in terms of program, I never tell people, hey, the best time to do cardio is this time, or the best time to work out is this time. Like, it's always dependent on your life and your schedule. If you work out better in the morning, if you lift better in the morning than you do at night, or you just have that sense of you want to work out more in the morning, then work out in the morning. I work out in the morning or I lift in the morning because I don't like waking up and doing cardio. It's just one of the things that I'm not really a morning person. I do what needs to be done, and I will get up if I have to, but I don't need to get up to do cardio if I'm doing it at night. So it's kind of just how my schedule works. I work from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I like to work out or do cardio at night. And I absolutely love that. And I love working out kind of, in the morning time before work, because the gym also isn't that crowded as well. So it's all dependent on your schedule and what works best with you. And I like to tell people all the time too, the best schedule that you can have, or the best workout program that you can have, is the one that works for you. Someone who gets a 7-day-a-week workout program that only does it for 2 weeks is not going to benefit as much as someone who has a workout program for 2 to 3 days a week, but is able to do that for 6 to 7 months. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing, is a lot of people, they try to take on too much. They try to take on a 100% strict diet. They try to take on like this crazy workout program. They do it for 2 weeks and then they fall off. And the best program, the best way that you can do this is consistency. And the only way to do that consistently is to get something that works for you in your schedule, to stay consistent with that.
Yeah. And I think this conversation comes back to the earlier piece with suffering. You have to suffer to an extent with what you're doing. You have to be uncomfortable to an extent, but if you're too uncomfortable, you're not going to do it. And I think finding that line for people, like, I would say I kind of overdid it in right after COVID. I was like feeling too good. It was like, we could work out twice a week. We could run a business. We could do a podcast. We could do stand-up comedy. And then we could see the family and have a girlfriend. It's like, no, you can't, assholes. Only 24 hours in a day. So I think people just also realizing, like, you're not, I know everybody says you can have it all, and I'm not disagreeing with you can't. But as a person who's up 3:30 in the morning every day, you can't have absolutely everything. Because I think, if you're going to have 4 hours of wellness and self-help, all that stuff, then you have to kind of give up these other things. So I think realizing balance, that's kind of been what I've taken away from this year. Like, you really have to learn how to balance. And sometimes you will focus more on the fitness side. Sometimes you'll work on your mental health side. Sometimes you'll focus on the wife more. You'll focus on this or that. Now, as far as your diet, what does the diet look like? How many meals are you eating a day? And how is that going to progress as we get closer? I'm just going to assume that the carbs are going to get lower, but fill me in.
Yeah, so currently my diet right now, I'm currently consuming about 1,900 calories, about 200 grams of protein. So I like to keep my protein generally high, carbs generally high, and fats like pretty low, around 45 grams.
Okay.
But I basically, the way that I kind of do my diet is I do if it fits your macros. It's kind of like this way that everyone has been kind of doing lately, and it's pretty much you get a certain amount of protein, you get a certain amount of carbs, and a certain amount of fats, and you can basically eat, pretty much whatever you want as long as those macros line up. So if it makes it easier, you can kind of have your 3 max amount of macros throughout the day, and then divide those up into 3 meals, and only eat 3 meals. You could eat 2 meals and kind of up the macros for those. So it's all about how your lifestyle is, because I know there's a lot of people who have they work construction and they can't really eat or whatever the case, and that's why I like if it fits your macros, because you can pretty much eat at any point of the day or however hungry you are or whatever the case, and as long as it hits your macros, then you're good to go. I do typically have kind of staple meals that I eat. So I'll wake up in the morning and I'll eat oatmeal right before my workout. And then, when I get done with my workout, I'll drink a protein shake, and then I'll have, my first big meal of the day before work. And then I'll have my meal at work, and then I'll have like a protein bar before work. And then after my cardio, I typically do my protein shake as well. And I just recently started doing this kind of protein that's already pre-made, like they have Premier Protein or the Fairlife that you can get at like Costco. But I like the ones that are pre-made, mainly because it's so convenient for me. You don't have to rinse out your shaker bottle or anything like that. All you do is just pick it up and go, and those have been really, really helping out with my protein intake. There's a lot of people who also struggle with protein. I know I did. Within the last few years, it was so hard to just eat that much food for protein. But if you can get a protein supplement, then it makes life so much easier in terms of getting in your protein.
I love this. This sounds like you've mastered like a disciplined flexibility diet in a way.
Yeah, and I 100%, and am for the being, kind of flexible in your eating, because all diets, a diet is supposed to be temporary, right? So you could eat, we'll say, for example, like a carnivore diet or something like that. We'll use that for example. It's not meant to be for a long period of time. It's meant to be for like a shorter period of time, and then you kind of average out a little bit. But diets, if you can be flexible but also hit your macros at the same time, like that's what you want to do. You want to be able to eat the stuff that you want to be able to have, that slice of pizza. You want to be able to eat that cereal in the morning or whatever the case. But you can also do it to a point where you're in a caloric deficit and you're able to get in the certain amount of macros that you need for the day, and still be able to maintain what you look, or get shredded. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm getting shredded while also eating the things that I like to eat. And that's the biggest thing that I advocate for is flexibility in dieting.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because I think we're on the same page here. Because when I wake up, I do my family calls it gruel, but we do the oatmeal with blueberries and a scoop of protein powder. And then at night, like I'll do we'll talk about the main meals, but chicken and rice, all that stuff. But then at the end, I found this, the Fairfax shakes, bro, are fucking ridiculous. They're
Oh
delicious.
yeah.
The vanilla tastes like a vanilla milkshake. Like my family's like, yeah,
Yeah.
this isn't this isn't good for you. I'm like, bro, because it tastes good. It's 42 grams. The elite one's 42 grams of protein and only 8 grams of carbs. And I think they're a little high in sugar, but yeah, we're working that off. It literally tastes like crack to me. It's like, I can't believe it's so good. I literally stock up now. I get 12 chocolate, 12 vanilla, the elites, and it's just changed the whole game. Because even at night when I want to go to something, you just bang that out, and it's still, for being a little treat, it's not bad at all, I think.
Yeah. And that's I love those, and finding stuff that you absolutely love like that, like protein shakes. no one wants to drink a protein shake that, tastes like ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's the biggest thing is getting stuff that you actually like to eat, because then you'll be able to maintain it longer. It goes back to that, being comfortable. There's certain parts of your life that, can be comfortable, which is flexible dieting. And, that is, and I think my biggest piece of advice to people out there who are kind of, getting into fitness or getting into, want to eat healthier or whatever the case is, you don't have to start out strict. You don't have to start out with a specific diet, but dial back your portion sizes and just look at the nutrition label and see exactly what a serving size is. And I mentioned this in my YouTube video. I don't think a lot of people quite understand how much fat is in one serving of peanut butter. I don't know about you, but whenever I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I like to cake the peanut butter on. But
That's what gets
in
you.
reality, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is one serving, and that's 14 grams of fat. And if you think about it from my standpoint of me only able to eat 45 grams of fat in one day, that's like a third of my fat in just the serving of peanut butter. You know what I mean? So just being able to look at those nutrition labels and kind of just be conscious and eat that one serving, instead of just, completely gorging yourself with a bunch of food. A lot of people also don't realize that it takes your body, 15 to 20 minutes to actually process that you're full. So a lot of people consume ample amounts of food thinking that they're still hungry, but they're not. If you were to just slow down your eating slightly and just kind of extend those meal periods out for like 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and I understand there's always going to be sometimes where you're not able to, get that 15 minutes or 20 minutes. But if you're able to, really just kind of extend the amount of time that it takes you to eat that meal and just watch how great you're going to feel, and you're not going to feel as hungry or as full as when you eat all that in a 5-minute period. So just being able to extend that is extremely helpful as well.
I've said that multiple times, probably because we haven't done a fitness one in a while, Rob. But everybody, slow down. You're fucking eating, please. Just do it. It's better for your digestion. It's better for your larynx. It's just better all across the board. And then you'll get hungrier, less. Like my family thinks I'm crazy now, Rob, because I'm like eating everything so slow. And I'm like, I just don't want to stuff. When you have that hardcore Italian in me, it's like I could just keep going, because we don't eat until we're full. You eat until like you're disgusted. So it's like, just stay away from that. Eat slower. And then, everything you're saying about just, I think that the one thing for people who are not maybe at Rob's level, who are just trying to go to who maybe you're just starting off their journey, you have to have a baseline for everything. You have to have your control experiment, and you really have to have consciousness of like, how many calories are you eating a day? Right. I think people don't even really want to know, but if you take a close look, that could be your control. I just tell people, listen, if you want to take a very simple view, that's your baseline. If you want to gain weight, add a surplus 500 calories. If you want to lose weight, deficit 500 calories. But if you don't know that number, you're living in like, you just don't have a name. And I'm not saying you have to be crazy, but just have an idea of what you're eating, because you'd be surprised how much, like my little cousin did the same thing with peanuts. Everybody thinks nuts are good. Nuts have a ton of fat and a ton of calories. So that not that you're eating bad, but you just have to be aware of everything.
Right. And a lot of people also don't understand the difference between carbs, fats, and proteins in terms of calories. So carbs and protein have 4 calories per 1 single gram, and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So that's like 2.1 times more calories per gram than carbohydrates and protein. And a lot of people, they don't understand that concept. So when they say, oh, okay, there's only 12 grams of fat in this, but in reality, in terms of proportions, that is like a significant amount of fat, compared to the rest. And and all that stuff kind of, starts to compound and build up for every single meal. And then, at one point, you're eating 200 grams of fat, but only 30 grams of protein. And then you're not really consistent, throughout the week. So it's like one day you're eating 200 grams of fat, and then the other day you're eating only 20 grams of fat. And then the biggest thing is consistency between meals as well. If, like you said, exactly, if you're just starting out, just being consistent and being conscious of the stuff that you're eating, you will start to notice so many different changes, and it's unbelievable.
What does what's your go-to meals, the main meals look like? Because we got the oatmeal in the morning, we got the protein shakes. What's the main meals look like?
So my breakfast, I absolutely love. There's these carton of eggs. They're called egg beaters. You can get them pretty much at any grocery store. It's in like the egg section. It's in like a carton. But basically, it tastes exactly like eggs. It's yellow. It looks like eggs, and it is eggs. It's like egg whites, but they mix like a very very minuscule amount of egg yolk in it to where it still gives it that taste of actual eggs. And I eat that because it's only 25 calories per serving. And so, for example, if I do 5 servings of that, uh, the egg beaters, then it's 25 grams of protein, 0 grams of fat, and 0 grams of carbs. So that's like my main source of protein in the morning is the egg beaters. And then I do hash browns. You kind of have to be careful, and like I said, you got to be conscious of the nutrition labels because I remember when I initially bought my hash browns, I bought the little hash brown patties, and that had, I believe, 6 or 7 grams of fat per patty. And then I ended up buying this other like bag of hash browns, and that had 0 fat. So you just kind of have to play with it, look at the nutrition label a little bit. So I do the eggs, the hash browns, and then I also do turkey sausage as well because that's kind of like my main source of fat in the morning is the turkey sausage, and that makes a huge plate of food, and it's only like 420 or 430 calories for that entire meal. So if you're able to find those specific foods and that you like to eat that are super healthy, then I would use those as like a staple. And then because I eat that every morning. So I'll eat that in the morning, and then lunches I try to. I can't really like leave work for kind of my job that I do.
What
So
is
I
work,
kind of.
Rob? If you don't mind me asking, what is
So
work?
I'm a security analyst for like an aerospace engineering company. So I can't really like leave because it's a 24-hour operation. But so I like to bring like a healthy meal, even if it's a microwavable meal or whatever the case. I like to bring meals, and then I kind of in the middle of those meals, I either drink a protein shake or eat a protein bar. So being able to find a protein shake and a protein bar is also extremely crucial. And throughout the day, I'll be I'll be full throughout the day if I'm able to snack like that with the protein bars and the protein shakes in between meals. I typically don't eat a dinner. I typically just do a protein bar before my cardio and then finish off the night with a protein shake. So a lot of people, they might not like that type of diet. There's a lot of people who only eat once a day, which that's fine. You just have to be able to fit all those macros in that one meal if you want to do it properly.
Gotcha. And then as we start moving towards um show day, are we just increasing cardio and decreasing carbs, like just complete ultimate miserableness?
Yeah, so I have about 8 weeks left until I step on stage. So every 3 weeks for the next 8 weeks, or about like 2 to 3 weeks, I will reduce my carbs by about 50 calories every 2 to 3 weeks. And it'll put me at around 1,700 calories by the time show day happens. But I'm also going to be doing cardio about 45 minutes to 60 minutes a day. At that point, it will be misery because I'll be doing probably anywhere between 5 and 700 calories worth of cardio. And there's different ways that you can put yourself in a caloric deficit. So let's say that theoretically I had a baseline of 2,000 calories. We'll use that because it's daily, like average intake of calories in a day. If I had 2,000 calories as my maintenance calories, that's just to function, go through my daily life, and I
Can't hear you, Rob. Something's got turned on.
All right. Are we good now?
Perfect, dude. Just keep going. Yeah, I'll clip it. Do not worry.
Um, let's say that we're at 2,000 calories as a daily average intake, and we're trying to get in a caloric deficit. We'll say like 1,700 is our caloric deficit to put us at a fat burning state.
Mm-hmm.
How you want to do that is 100% up to you. You can either eat less food to where you're eating 1,700 calories and that will put you in a caloric deficit. Or you can eat 2,000 calories and then do 300 calories worth of cardio to then put you also in that caloric deficit. How you want to do that is 100% up to you. I like to do the cardio just because it's just better for you and it's healthier for you, increasing your heart rate. But you don't 100% have to lose body fat, if that makes sense.
Okay. And what is your choice of cardio?
So I like to switch it up. So there's times where I'll spend 45 minutes on the treadmill, and, and that'll be my cardio session. Or there's times where I'm just like, I don't want to do 45 minutes of Stairmaster, and I'll do 10 to 15 minutes of Stairmaster. I'll go do jump rope for 10 minutes, or I'll walk on the treadmill at an incline, at a pretty fast pace for another 10 minutes. And, just switching it up like that, it'll kind of break up the monotony of, doing the same things every single day. And that's kind of how I like to do it. It's just all dependent on how I feel that day.
Yeah, for people, you motherfuckers know who I'm talking to. I see people do cardio and it's like not actual cardio. You got to be sweating, people. You got to have over, steady state cardio. I'm with it. I'm more of a steady state guy. You gotta have your BPMs at 100, 130, Rob. These guys in my gym, they sitting there doing the treadmill for 40 minutes and they're like on the phone, not on an incline. You got to get the body moving. Actually, just sitting on the treadmill, just because it's on your iPhone or the Apple Watch does not mean that it's fucking counting, you motherfuckers. Like, get sweating and get pushing. That was something even I didn't realize it. I started I would cheat on because you're doing the podcast stuff. I was like, I'm just making myself miserable. Stairmaster 40 minutes every day, just to you can't cheat the Stairmaster. At least that's my point of view.
Yeah, the Stairmaster is by far one of the most intense.
Yeah, it's horrible.
If you're not sprinting and you want to do something other than sprinting, that'll be pretty much the same amount. Jump on the Stairmaster, 100%.
Yeah, if you can't get off the phone and just be in the suffering.
Yeah.
What's the supplementation look like nowadays?
So I take about 3 supplements. I take protein, I take pre-workout, and I take creatine. I take a very specific creatine. It's a creatine HCl, which is basically a creatine that's paired with a hydrochloride compound. Your body's supposed to kind of digest it a little bit better. And there's a lot of monohydrates out there where you have to load it up and you have to just take 3 scoops a day for 7 days to be able to start putting it through your body. And then even then your body's only absorbing 30% of that creatine. So the HCl has had some research on it that you don't need to do any loading phases for it, and your body kind of just digests it and accepts it a lot easier and faster. So that's the one that I do. It's a GNC brand of creatine that I take. It's called creatine HCl 189. And the pre-workout that I take is Ghost. Right now I'm working on, I'm actually talking with one of the customer service reps, and I'm trying to get a code for all my people. So pretty soon I should, have a discount code for people to use. And then protein, I do whatever protein works. I like the Ghost protein, the same one as the pre-workout. But I typically like to go towards the proteins that are, kind of in that box and, ready to drink, ready to go, just because it's more convenient with my lifestyle. So whatever works best for you. If you want to save a few bucks and go with the tub protein, then do that. But if you're kind of having some trouble with rinsing out your shaker cup or whatever the case, then just go with those little box already pre-made proteins. So
yeah. I think creatine is one of the most underrated supplements there is, just because if you're looking for the right way to do something with lean muscle mass, that's the way to do it. If you're not taking creatine, you're doing something wrong. You can't stay on it for consistent periods because of the kidney, but what a wonderful supplement.
Yes, definitely. For those of you that don't know what creatine does, it pretty much causes your body to be able to produce ATP a lot better, which is better for recovery. It's better for explosive movements in the gym. And overall, it's had scientific studies that increase, strength by up to 30% is what I was reading. So it's definitely an underrated supplement. Just, make sure you're being safe with taking it, because there's pretty much anyone can make any supplement, and you just got to be careful, do your research on kind of what creatines to take and to stay away from.
And listen, I'm not I take some magnesium I got some plantar fasciitis, I take some zinc. I think you don't want to overdo yourself, because you could sit here and everybody can tell you there's a million different things to buy and sell. I like that you're taking three simple things that I would assumed that's what you're taking. And I think people, oh, if I take 8 different pills and a little B12 pill and this and that and my vitamin D, it's like, if you're not doing the work, everything else is like for me, the supplementation is by far the least important piece of the whole thing. It's about dieting and working out. That's like what the key is.
Yep. And the important thing to do is also to take it, like, to do it in stages too, because just being overwhelmed with, like I said, just the workout program, the diet. If you were to just all compile that into one thing, you're just like, all right, on this day I'm doing my diet, on this day I'm doing, this hard workout, and just take it in stages, as well as supplements. You don't need supplements, and I mentioned this in my YouTube video. You don't need supplements. They're there to supplement what you're having trouble with doing. You know what I mean? And even pre-workout, like I don't take pre-workout for the actual like body benefits. I would say pre-workout is more of like a mental thing for me, because once I take my pre-workout and like my body starts feeling those little tingles from the beta alanine, that's my mental cue that, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to the gym. Like it's game time. You know what I mean? So I would say like even the caffeine and stuff that's in pre-workouts, that's not really what is like my cue to go work out. It's not, because there's times where I have energy, but I'm just like, I don't want to go work out. But once I take the pre-workout, it's that mental game. It's like, all right, it's time to go.
Yeah, that's what I just did this morning, actually, because I was a little, the weekend got a little crazy with what you're eating, and maybe some donuts were involved, maybe some sandwiches, and I was like, I can't wake up to do legs. And it's just that, are you taking 1 scoop? Or you may be a 2 scoop guy.
No, actually, I mean, I do the 1 serving size. So like the Ghost pre-workout, for example, their 1 serving is 2 scoops. So it kind of just depends on how you look at it. Technically, it's 2 scoops, but it's 1 serving. So
now, what do you think is the biggest? If you could advise the younger guys, or maybe let's say the medium to expert level kids in the gym, what is the one thing that you would tell yourself to kind of change, or something that you didn't know, or just any tip to help them?
A lot of people, they struggle with just getting into the gym and movements and what kind of workouts to do and all that kind of stuff, and it can be overwhelming, and I've been at that point where I'm just like, am I doing this exercise right? Or I'm looking around, it's like, are people looking at me funny because I'm not doing this exercise right? When you're first starting out, I would stick to the very basics, so you can do body weight exercises, and then once you start getting kind of into that and helping your body is getting accustomed to that, and increasing strength in those areas, then I would recommend, while you're kind of going along your fitness journey, just looking at some YouTube videos, looking at, some of a lot of fitness influencers and, YouTubers and stuff like that. They have a lot of really good information. There's a lot of people who you got to be careful of, but, because, I'm going to kind of, jump off topic a little bit here is, I'd say a really big problem with today in terms of social media is there's a lot of people who are on, some type of performance enhancer, like, HGH or steroids or, tren or all that kind of stuff. And I respect the people who come out and tell you like, hey, like I'm on this, doing this workout program isn't going to benefit you as much as I'm doing it, because the people who are on that kind of stuff and they're out here giving this advice to people who are not taking that stuff, it's going to get people hurt, and it's going to give people false expectations that doing this workout is going to help you. But in reality, this person who's taking steroids, for example, has a lot better recovery time as a person who doesn't take steroids. That's the whole benefit of steroids. So if a person is kind of, telling this person, hey, do this workout, or I'm going to give you this workout plan that I do, and that person's on steroids, they're going to get this person hurt and injured because they don't have the same recovery rate as the person who's not doing it. So I would just really, really be careful of that and really do your research. But there's a lot of people who have resources out there where they do exercises, they do workouts, they teach you how to do the workouts properly. That's going to be really heavy. What my YouTube channel is also going to be based on is throughout this prep, I'm going to be doing a lot of workouts, like, and you guys are going to have, everyone's going to have access to the free workouts. And I'll have videos explaining what movements I'm doing, how to do them, how to prevent injury, all that kind of stuff. So I would do your research whenever you're first getting into it, and just kind of understand some general ideas and concepts on how to do movements like that.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, thank you for the rant. I was going to bring this up then with the steroid thing, because it's for people who are not as educated as Rob or even myself. Like, use Rob as the example. Anybody listening, I fully endorse him and being natural. And then I've also had a bunch of bodybuilders who are on steroids, and they've showed me how they do it, and you could just tell the difference, Rob. I mean, guys, listen. Somebody's eating a fucking bagel and they have shredded abs and the veins popping out of their arm. There's something wrong with the model. So just be aware that most of the people you're seeing that have that certain look, unless they have fantastic genetics, there's pros and cons. But I think the other issue, Rob, tell me if you disagree. It's like, the truth is, what works is squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing. Those are not the sexiest things to post on Instagram. That may not catch the algorithm. So I think sometimes these people will just post stuff that looks sexier and it looks cooler, but you got to stick to what works and the basics of the functionality of those power movements.
Yep. Yeah. You're 100% right. I like to keep all those movements that you mentioned. I do them every single day.
I would have bet that. Yeah. Everybody who's on the beginner side, you got to do the stuff that sucks. You got to squat. You got to front squat. You got to do some deadlifting. You got to row. These things are basic. Check all the episodes we've done with the functionality of the muscle. But, I think this is a good place to start. And Rob, if you want to come back on, I think that'd be a great idea. Come, if you're not if you don't want to murder me in 2 months, that last week, when you're fully prepped, that way I could see it sucked out of your face and how miserable you are. Come back on. We'll do a whole thing. Get you ready for the competition. That sounds great.
Yeah, 100%. I'm down for that.
Cool, man. Rob, dude, thank you so much for your time. Everybody can find Rob's LinkedIn below. I mean, LinkedIn, what am I saying? Instagram. You can find the website below, and then I'll keep you guys up to date by posting some of his stuff as we go throughout his journey. So thank you so much, Rob.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, bro. Everybody who's watching, hit that button, subscribe. If you're listening, as always, thank you guys so much for the support, the love, for the growth that we've had being the top 1% of podcasts worldwide. Do me a favor, just tell one of your friends about it. That does do the most for us. That is it. As always, stay safe, stay positive, stay blessed. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.